It's really important you push the add to stream button if you're going to do a live stream. So sorry for those few moments of dead air. Hello. Thank you so much for joining me for another in our series of, what are we talking about today? Sales Sherpa tools that are specifically for the financial services industry, but really can be applied to any sort of interaction that you're having with a prospect, with a client in any sort of sales capacity. And really excited to talk about our topic today. We're going to dive right in. And by the way, if you're joining us live, be sure to throw down in the comments below what part of the city, state, country you are joining us from, what zip code you are, what part of the world you're in. And if you are watching this on our YouTube channel afterwards, thank you for taking time out of your day to come and check us out on YouTube. By the way, all of our recordings are on YouTube. I popped the link down below. So go ahead and check out all of our recorded live streams, but also there's a ton of pre-recorded content there as well to help you become a more effective salesperson, professional, business owner, everything from networking and sales to LinkedIn and just professional development. So definitely check those out. But let's talk today, because again, we've only got 15 minutes, less than. Today I want to talk about empathy and the importance of building an empathetic connection with your prospects and clients. And where I want to talk about this today is actually on a tactical level to really dig into what empathy is and what it isn't. Because over the last 6 months of the pandemic, we've heard over and over again, oh, it's so important that you're empathetic with your customers and you need to be more empathetic with the people you serve right now. And I actually think that's kind of BS. Because what that points out is that you weren't empathetic before, right? It's like, well, in the past, business was good, economy was doing well, so you don't have to even worry about really being that empathetic. Just go get the sale, all right? And obviously, times have changed. And I think that's partly because of the pandemic, but also even before the pandemic, we were seeing cracks in the armor of this kind of transactional, you don't really have to pay attention to your prospect that hard kind of selling. And when you're a sales Sherpa, if you're going to be a true guide for the people that you are selling to, it really is about positioning yourself as that guide so that when they are going through their buyer's journey, whether that's right then or it might be down the line, you are positioned as the person to guide them. And so when we look at what empathy really is and why it's important, I said first we have to kind of look at unpacking it and defining it, because empathy right now I feel is a word very much like value. You always hear sales experts going, you got to build value. Every time you do outreach to somebody, bring value. What the hell is that? What does that mean? Like, is it just information? Well, information doesn't really have value because your prospects and clients can get that with just a quick Google search. And so in the same way people say build empathy, well, what is empathy really? So kind of on a technical side, kind of a definition of empathy is that it's the ability to understand another person's point of view. It's an ability to put yourself in their shoes. That's actually what empathy is. And there's called the theory of self, which is in psychology, this idea that other people can have perspectives, other people can have motivations, and you can put yourself in your shoes to understand their motivations. It's actually why people who have problems, for example, if they're on the autism spectrum, not everybody, but some people who are on the autism spectrum struggle with social interaction because they're not as good at figuring that out. They can't necessarily put themselves in the shoes of somebody else and understand those person's intentions and motivations. And why I think it's important that we go, okay, so being empathetic is establishing a connection where we can understand somebody else's point of view. It's important because we also want to stay away from two things which I think get conflated and mixed in with empathy, and that's sympathy and compassion. Now, sympathy and compassion are both good things. I'm not saying they're not, but they're not empathy. Sympathy is literally feeling, it's pathos, the sympathy, pathos, the same, it's feeling the same thing. So when a prospect or a client is talking about a challenge, that means if you're sympathetic, you're feeling that with them. We might go, I don't want to feel all of my prospects and clients' pain. I want to be able to understand, but I don't necessarily need to feel it. And that is accurate. You don't have to feel it to understand it. You don't have to, that's just emotionally draining. Similarly, compassion is not empathy. Compassion, incredibly important. And I hope that you are a compassionate person and that you have compassion for everybody. I think that one of the great meditation practices that has come out over the last, really centuries in the East, especially if you look at Buddhism from Southeast Asia, China, Tibet, there's a lot of this idea of meditating upon compassion and having compassion for everybody. And that's great. But again, compassion is not empathy. You should be compassionate towards your prospects and clients, but that doesn't mean you understand really what they're going through. Okay. So we can build sympathy or compassion in, but empathy is simply going, I understand and can see the world through my prospects, through my clients' perspective. Why this is so important is that once we have done that, it gives us two huge tactical advantages. The first is we can actually understand how we are going to serve that prospect, right? How we are going to help them. So if we can understand that this prospect has a pain point, and the pain point might be they don't know where to put their money, right? Or they're afraid of putting their money in the wrong thing. They want to make sure that they have a good retirement, or again, whatever that person's main issues are. Once you can understand it not from the perspective that you have, like, oh, you should fix this because I think this is what's important. It's you should fix this because it's important to you. That allows you then to have a much more meaningful conversation about how you can help them solve their challenges, the services you might be able to offer, the products that you're working with. Way more powerful. The second thing, and I think in many ways, even more important, hard to quantify, but qualitatively so critical, is that when you are empathetic with somebody, when you have established that connection and they know it, and they know that you know what they're going through, all of a sudden, the degree to which that other person is going to buy into your guidance and listen to your guidance, it increases exponentially. And that is why when we think about building empathy, it actually, one, allows us to uncover the real challenges that somebody has, but it also then allows them to key in and connect with us and tell us more information that we need to help them make the best step forward in their buyer's journey, right? Because that's really when we talk about being a sales Sherpa, it's really guiding them through that journey. And I was even thinking about this idea for those of you who have ever had a teenager or parented a teenager, or if you've ever been a teenager yourself, there's this refrain, you don't get it, or you don't understand. And a lot of times, in this case, the teenager just thinks, hey, the parent doesn't get the pain or the challenges or what the teenager is trying to do. Ironically, of course, as a parent, you've been through it, so you do understand. But when the teenager in this case says, you don't understand, they're cutting themselves off from listening to the guidance, right? In the same way, even though I hope some of you are working with isn't going to just yell at you and go, you don't understand. If they think this person doesn't really get it, this person doesn't understand what the world looks like from my perspective, what I'm trying to accomplish from my point of view, it's going to be very hard to guide them. It's going to be very hard to work with them because they're not really bought into listening to you. And so what that focus on empathy and actually connecting on a human level, we had some great conversations last week with both Joey Davenport and Janet Lee. I definitely suggest you check out those videos if you have not seen them. They're very short, 15 minutes tops. But we went through some great ways with both Janet and Joey on how to to create that empathetic connection, how to ask those questions. But again, it's not just the initial questions you're asking, but it allows you to have a much fuller and a much richer opportunity to ask the real questions. Because again, not only do you know what to ask, but they're much more likely to answer you because they go, oh, this person gets it and they want to help me. I'm going to open up a little bit more. So as you're thinking about how you can be that resource and be that guide, it is not just about being a person who can post on LinkedIn every once in a while or send a canned e-newsletter once a quarter and that's going to be enough. It is about getting on these calls right now. Since we're social distancing, we're not doing this in person as much. We will again be in person, but it's whether it's a Zoom call or a cup of coffee, a lunch, whatever it is, even just a phone call, it's about really focusing on that human to human connection. It's so critical. So work on that this week. Look at where are the places where I can have these conversations and really just at the end of the call, ask yourself, do I get where they're coming from? Do I really know? And is there something I could have asked that I didn't or I should have asked? And, ask yourself as well, do they think that I get them? And again, if the answer is no, that's something that you can focus on the next time you engage. And maybe even think about that during, like, hey, how can I convey to this person that I understand? And by the way, if you don't understand, figure out how to. Okay. So thank you so much for joining me today. Again, definitely check out those past recordings if you haven't seen our other LinkedIn Lives. We have 2 more this month, 2 more LinkedIn Lives in this series. So we have one tomorrow and one on Wednesday if you're joining us live. Again, they'll all go into our YouTube channel, but they're at noon Central. Looking forward, not tomorrow, but Wednesday. So the last session in this series, actually have invited my friend Robert Knope on. Robert is another expert in working with the digital space, was doing it way before the pandemic came around, and really looking at how financial professionals, especially ones in large organizations that have a lot of compliance issues and all these kinds of other things they have to manage, he's really an expert in that. So we're going to dive into some of the ways that we can just be more human online while still following all the rules. So super excited about that. If there's anything I can do, please reach out and just ping me here on LinkedIn or shoot me a message on YouTube. And until then, everybody have a fantastic day. I wish you the best of luck. Stay healthy, stay safe, and stay salubrious. And that is a good SAT word to be just telling you to stay healthy. All right. Thanks, everybody. Bye.